Well, you cover something called minimalism in your book, which I want to mention. I'm just blanking on it. Real Music, Exploring 100 Years of Film Music. And minimalism, what is that?
Well, once we've gotten into the synthesizer, there's not a lot of new developments in film scoring. There's sort of moving back and forth between popular music and orchestral scores, and of course some great inventive ones. But the one new movement comes in the 90s, where being impacted by this movement in concert music called minimalism, where you don't have much change. You give us a musical ideal, and you just start repeating it over and over again. And this is very effective in certain films where people are trapped, like Shawshank Redemption. There's just synth, and it's just the same music. He's never going to get out of this prison. American Beauty, where people are trapped by their own impressions of themselves, and they can't seem to break away from these stereotypes that even they have of themselves. So it has a sense of being not moving forward. Even Finding Nemo uses this style as he travels these long distances trying to get to Sydney, Australia. And so just and just little touches of color, it's very effective.
So it's not that the composers just run out of ideas.
Yeah, right. And, it's something I have to deal with, because that's my prejudice. Sometimes I'd like to be able to take a CD home and listen to it when it's all the same thing. I did The Hours of Philip Glass. I remember I get so excited. I got a Philip Glass CD, and every chapter sounded exactly like the previous one. I go, what's the difference? Why don't I just have one chapter?
Well, let's listen to one.
Well, this is not strictly minimalism, but it's a pop style related to it. It's called techno. And this is a wonderful film from 1998, I believe, Run, Lola, Run. And the composer himself, the director, composed the music at a synthesizer, and it gives it this pop running sound, reflecting the fact that Lola has to run all the time through this movie. And in this scene, her boyfriend's called her. He's in lots of trouble. He needs 50,000 marks. He might be beaten up if he doesn't have this money. And she's just trying to run to save him, say, don't do anything stupid. She gets there too late. He's robbing a store. Now, the interesting thing to hear in this music is how the music, once again, doesn't react to the storyline itself. So there's very dramatic change and shifts, but the music doesn't reflect it. And there's guns going off and things. It's very startling. Once they get done with the robbery, I just need to go a little bit further because there's two interesting things that happen. They borrow a couple pieces of music. We call this adapted music. The music that already exists, they're adapting to the film. One is a song by Dinah Shore, What a Difference a Day Makes. And it's a beautiful love song. And actually, in the context of the film as a whole, if you know the film, it's actually very funny. The words and the lyrics fit the story. But what you're watching is this desperate escape by these two people being chased by police, and they're actually caught, and actually Lola gets shot at the very end. So it's very serious stuff. This is music running counter to what you're watching. Mm-hmm. And as soon as she's shot, the music stops, and it's very sudden. And then quietly you're going to hear a piece by Charles Ives called The Unanswered Question. And I don't even know how they knew this piece. I think these are very intelligent people. And to pull out a piece like this at the perfect moment, because the unanswered question is, what's the meaning of life? Mm-hmm. And that's unanswerable. We've always asked it. We never know what it is. And so to have that piece play as she falls and crumbles down, beautifully done. Let's watch a bit of Run, Lola, Run.
Manni!
Lola, wo warst du denn?
Es ging nicht schneller.
Hilfst du mir?
Können wir nicht schnell abhauen?
Jetzt nicht mehr, wo siehst du die Scheiße hier?
Warum hast du nicht auf mich gewartet?
Hab ich doch, du bist zu spät. Also, was jetzt kommst du?
Die Hände hoch, Junge. Aber Dalli. Na mach schon! Die Waffe weg! Da wird's bald!
Liegen bleiben.
Pass auf, ich glaube, die ist nicht entsichert.
Wie geht denn das?
Da ist so ein kleiner Hebel an der Seite.
Du kannst ihn bringen, den kann ich.
Liegen bleiben.
Komm her. Okay, du pass auf, wo das geht.
bevor die Bullen kommen.
What a difference a day made. 24 little hours. Bought the sun and the flowers. Where there used to be rain. My yesterday was blue, dear. Today I'm a part of you, dear. My lonely nights are through, dear.
Stehen bleiben!
Since you said you were mine.
So I think that's a very exciting score and a very startling score, and the whole movie has got some great messages behind it. So highly recommend that one.
Very effective.
Yeah, and it's different, and you can see what we're getting to the 90s and into 21st century is a lot of different styles of music going on, and many great composers.
Such as?
Well, Danny Elfman really appeals to me. I think he's, of all the composers, besides John Williams, I'd run to see a movie just because I know he's scoring it, because I'm interested to see what he's going to do. Hans Zimmer, of course, great stuff. Horner was from the 80s and 90s, fantastic stuff, right up to Braveheart and Titanic, and into the 20th century. So some really good composers. My film book starts in 2003, and I was lucky that I got the DVD for The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, 2 weeks before my due date. Actually, 1 week before my due date. So I'm in there listening, scrambling, trying to get everything I can out of this piece. So I put something in there, which made it nice because the book starts with the Wagner Ring Cycle, and then I could end with the Ring Cycle of.
The symmetry of it all.
Yeah, the symmetry.
Perfect.
So its own little ring, and and finish. And that was one of the great scores of the 21st century. Howard Shore really pulled off a great score with this trilogy of films.
I'm impressed that you would say that.
Yeah, and it reminds you of John Williams and Star Wars, but he did his best not to imitate John Williams. So there's more vocal music, more songs. He uses leitmotifs, but he uses them differently. With Star Wars, you can close your eyes and know who's on the screen. Identify that's Princess Leia theme. But here, Frodo doesn't have a theme. Sam doesn't have a theme. They share a fellowship theme. So for these 9 characters, they all share one theme, and it could be applied to any one of them. And there's a Hobbit theme. It doesn't belong to any one particular character. So it's more ensemble themes.
Well, it makes a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of like the acting itself. There was no one standout actor. There were just great ensemble acting in those films.
I'd like to hear a piece of that.
Oh,
if we could.
I'm going to do the very beginning of the very first film. And what's interesting to me are 2 parts to this one. There's a small clip, but first of all, how they immediately tie this story into the Middle Ages. And so one of the things we're fascinated by is what happened before there's written history on this planet.
Right.
And so that's why we're fascinated by the story, because this is a whole history before it was written down as history. And by connecting things like the castles, the costumes they wear, the armor, the method of fighting to the Middle Ages, it all seems to suggest that this is happening just before the Middle Ages got started. And so to have the Gregorian chant being sung in the style of Gregorian chant suggests this is the music that's going to tie into the Middle Ages as well. And then it goes to the title, Lord of the Rings, and they're going to play the first leitmotif, which is the ring itself. Da dee da da dee da da dum pum, 7-note theme, and it is a seductive theme. It has all the qualities of famous seductive melodies. It goes downward. Think of dum dum da 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 dum dum, downward motion and very small chromatic steps, and then also uses triplets, which is da 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 da. It's got all these things that seductive singers do. So it's that ring. You can almost close your eyes and imagine a beautiful woman lounging on a chair with this theme. It's a total seduction theme. So brilliantly done by Howard Shore.
Okay.
Let's listen.
The world is changed. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the earth. I smell it in the air. Much that once was is lost, for none now live who remember it.
So the 21st century has produced a number of fine films and scores. I say I stopped the book in 2003, and I know we're thinking about doing a new edition, which is going to be called Real Music with a Roman numeral 2. I've crashed to it, and try to deal with more recent films scores. It's so much diffusion going on now that it's hard to find generalizations. So I'm already not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm sure I'm going to bring out some film scores like Inception, which is absolutely fabulous, and Slumdog Millionaire. I think some of those are really catchy and are really worth talking about. So we'll find some new areas.
I look forward to that.
Thank you.
If someone is not lucky enough to be able to take your class here in Long Beach, and they want to learn more about film music, how do they go about it?
Well, you have to find the movies you want to watch. And my suggestion, above all, would be never watch a movie to listen to its music. You want to watch the movie initially just to watch the movie and get your full impact from it. What's the emotional response to it? And what's the main point of the movie? Is there a transformation of characters that take place? So absorb the intellectual part of the movies, or the emotional parts of it, and then go back and listen to it again, and see how the music fits in. Was the music responsible for your feelings? And then you have to do multiple listenings initially. It took me a long time before I could actually hear music and started analyzing it when I'm watching it for the first time.
And you were a musician.
Yeah, I'm a musician, but the point is you should not enjoy the movie, the film. If you're going to movies for the first time, I mean, say in the theater, you should be sitting there trying to listen to music. You really want to just sit back and enjoy, and because that's what movies are about.
And then buy the soundtrack.
And then go to the soundtrack or watch a video of it and see how the music fit in.
Well, this has been so much fun. This book, Real Music, Exploring 100 Years of Film Music by Roger Hickman, it is a wonderful and very popular textbook, but I must say that it's also just good reading, and you can find out so much about films in a very pleasurable way. Thank you so much, Roger, for being here with us today. It's been great fun.
Thank you so much for spending your time.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I look forward to the second edition.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. I'm Lisa Bowman.